So, let me tell you about the day I almost filed a biohazard report on a woman who just wanted directions to the coffee shop. My name is Thrin Balos, Senior Customs Inspector, Galactic Trade Station Orvex 7. I have held this position for 18 cycles, and in that time I have processed over 40,000 arrivals. Smugglers, diplomats, refugees, criminals, religious pilgrims who try to bring banned incense through security. I have seen it all. Or so I thought. It was a slow rotation. Docking Bay 14 had been quiet for hours, and my partner Zika was doing that thing where he pretends to review cargo manifests, but is actually napping with his eyes open. Hardly can do that. It is deeply unsettling if you are not used to it. I was halfway through my third cup of stim brew when the request came in. A small transport ship, old model, the kind of vessel you see hauling spare parts through the outer systems, held together by optimism and duct tape. I did not recognize the design, but that was not unusual. The galaxy is a big place. The registration code came through, Terran origin. I checked the database. Terran. I had never heard of them. The entry was thin, sparse. A species from some backwater system called Sol out on the spiral arm where nobody important ever goes. They had only made contact with the wider galaxy a few decades ago, practically newborns by interstellar standards. I approved the docking request without much thought, probably some lost trader who took a wrong turn at the Helix Nebula. The ship landed with a clunk that suggested at least two of its landing struts needed serious maintenance. I made a note to have the mechanics take a look before it departed. Professional courtesy. Zika stirred beside me. His throat sac inflated slightly, which meant he was anxious. Marathi of threat instincts that border on precognition. They can sense danger before it arrives, which makes them excellent security partners and terrible poker players. I told him to relax. It was just a Terran, probably here to trade engine parts or ask for directions. The airlock cycled open, and she walked out. Small. That was my first thought. Smaller than I expected. Though I had no idea what I expected, she stood barely taller than my chest, with a frame that looked almost fragile. Her skin was a soft pinkish brown. Her head was covered in long strands of dark keratin filaments that moved when she walked. She carried a single travel bag over one shoulder, worn at the edges like it had seen 100 ports before this one. She looked, if I am being honest, completely unremarkable. She approached my customs desk with a pleasant expression on her face. Not nervous, not aggressive, just calm, relaxed, like she had done this 1,000 times and it was all terribly routine. She smiled at me. I have since learned that humans smile to indicate friendliness. At the time I did not know this. At the time I saw a small predator baring its teeth at me and some ancient part of my brain told me to run. I did not run. I am a professional. She spoke. Her voice was casual, warm, even. Hi there, Penny Kowalski. I am just passing through connecting flight to Nexus Prime. Quick question though. Is there anywhere on this station I can get a decent cup of coffee? I have been in transit for 19 hours and I am about to commit a crime. I stared at her. Behind me the bioscanner started making a sound I had never heard before. Zika's throat sac inflated so fast I thought he was going to pop. Now I need to explain something about bioscanners. They are designed to be calm, reassuring. They process biological data quietly and efficiently, because nobody wants to cause a panic every time someone walks through customs with a mild fungal infection. The default notification sound is a gentle chime, very soothing. The sound coming from my scanner was not a gentle chime. It was a shriek, a wail. The kind of noise you hear in emergency drills when they simulate hull breaches, red lights flashing, text scrolling across the display so fast I could barely read it. I looked at the screen. I looked at Penny Kowalski. I looked back at the screen. The first line read Biological Threat Assessment, Priority Alpha. Beneath that, Homeworld Classification, Category 12 Deathworld. I want to be very clear about something. The highest Deathworld rating I had ever seen in 18 cycles of customs work was Category 6. That was for a Vraxian mercenary, whose home planet had sulfuric acid rain and a 20-hour day-night cycle that drove most species insane. Category 12. I did not even know the scale went that high. Penny looked at the flashing lights behind me with mild concern. Her head tilted slightly, like a curious pet. Except pets do not usually trigger biohazard protocols. "Oh no," she said. "Did I set something off? I am so sorry. I always forget to take my keys out. Here, let me just..." She started reaching for her pockets. I flinched, physically flinched. All four of my hands came up in a defensive gesture that I am not proud of. Zika made a gurgling sound and backed away so fast he knocked over a chair. Penny froze. Her hands were still halfway to her pockets. She looked at me. She looked at Zika. She looked at the scanner, which was still screaming like it had witnessed the birth of a black hole. "Is everything okay?" she asked. No. Everything was not okay. Everything was extremely not okay. My secondary heart was beating so hard I could feel it in my throat. The security alert had already gone out. Automatic. The moment the scanner hit Category 10, it pings Station Command directly. There is no override. There is no delay. It is designed that way for a reason. I heard the boots before I saw them. Commander Voss Henark came through the security door with 6 armed guards behind him. Henark is Scrivian.
8 feet tall.
400 pounds of muscle and armor plating. He has a scar across his face from a plasma burn he took during the Kelvex uprising, and he has never once in his life smiled. He saw Penny. He saw the scanner. He drew his sidearm. "Do not move," he said. His voice was like gravel being crushed under a tank. "Identify the weapon you are carrying, now." Penny blinked at him. "I am sorry," she said. "Weapon?" She sounded genuinely confused, slightly annoyed even, like this was all a big misunderstanding, and someone was about to feel very embarrassed about it. She gestured vaguely at her travel bag. "I have got a change of clothes in here, a book, some snacks. I do not know what your scanner thinks it is seeing, but I promise you I am not armed. I am a botanist." Henark did not lower his weapon. I stepped forward. My legs were shaking, but I stepped forward anyway. I had the scanner data. It was my job to report it. "Commander," I said. My voice cracked slightly, which was humiliating. "The weapon is not in her bag." "Then where is it?" Henark demanded. I swallowed. "It is her, sir. She is the weapon." I read the data aloud. I did not want to, but it was my duty. "Homeworld atmosphere," I said. "Oxygen-nitrogen mix. Highly combustible." Highly combustible. Toxic to 47% of known species. Penny raised her eyebrows. "Toxic. It is just air." "Homeworld gravity," I continued. 1.0 standard. Henark stiffened. His guards shifted uneasily. 1.0 is crushing. It is the kind of gravity that grinds bones to powder over time. Most species cannot survive extended exposure to anything above 0.7. "Biological classification," I said, and my voice was definitely shaking now. "Apex predator. Pursuit endurance hunters. Binocular vision optimized for tracking prey." Penny looked at me. Those eyes, forward-facing, locked onto me like targeting systems. "Skeletal structure calcium-itic composite," I said. "Self-repairing. Documented healing of fractures within 40 to 60 standard day cycles." One of the guards made a sound. A small sound. The kind of sound you make when you realize you are standing in front of something that should not exist. Penny Kowalski looked at all of us. Armed guards. Screaming scanner. A customs officer sweating from all 4 armpits. She sighed. "Okay," she said. "I think there has been a misunderstanding. Can someone please just tell me where the food court is?" They took her to holding room 3. I should not have followed. It was not my jurisdiction. My job was customs. Scan the arrivals, process the paperwork, flag anything suspicious, and let security handle the rest. But I followed anyway. I could not help it. I had to know. Zika refused to come. He stayed at the desk, throat sac pulsing, eyes locked on the door Penny had walked through like he expected her to come bursting back out at any moment.
"I did not blame him."
Marathi survival instincts are strong. When something feels wrong, they listen. I should have listened too. But curiosity is a terrible thing. Holding room 3 is designed for intimidation. Gray walls, cold lighting, a single metal table bolted to the floor, 2 chairs facing each other. The kind of room where people confess to things just to get out of it faster. Commander Henark sat on one side, arms crossed, jaw set. He had put away his sidearm, but his posture made it clear he did not need it. Scrivians are natural predators. They dominated their home planet for millennia before they ever reached space. Henark had killed enemies with his bare hands. He told me once, casually, over lunch. Penny sat on the other side. She did not look intimidated. She did not look nervous. She looked, and I cannot stress this enough, mildly inconvenienced. She checked the time display on the wall. She sighed. She shifted in her seat, like it was uncomfortable. Which it was. That was the point. Henark leaned forward. "Let us start simple," he said. His voice was low, controlled, the voice of someone who has conducted many interrogations and won all of them. "Why is a Deathworld apex predator visiting my station?" Penny looked at him. "I told you," she said. "I am a botanist. I am traveling to a conference on Nexus Prime, soil regeneration techniques. Very exciting stuff if you are into nitrogen fixation and microbial ecosystems, which I am, obviously." Henark stared at her. I stared at her. A botanist. A predator species from a Category 12 Deathworld, with forward-facing eyes and self-repairing bones and a toxic atmosphere, traveled across the galaxy to attend a conference about soil. Penny seemed to notice our confusion. "What?" she said. "Plants are important. Do you know how many ecosystems collapse without proper soil management? It is actually a huge problem on terraformed worlds. The nutrient cycles get completely disrupted, and then everything dies. Very tragic." She said this the way someone might discuss the weather. Casual. Matter of fact. Like ecosystem collapse was just a minor inconvenience and not the end of all life on a planet. Henark's jaw tightened. "You expect me to believe," he said slowly, "that a creature from one of the most dangerous worlds in the known galaxy is here to talk about dirt." Penny's expression shifted, just slightly, a small crease between her eyebrows. "Okay," she said. "First of all, it is not just dirt. Soil is an incredibly complex living system with thousands of interdependent organisms. Second of all, yes, that is exactly why I am here. I have been studying regenerative agriculture for 12 years. I have 3 published papers. I was invited to give a keynote presentation. And third of all," she leaned forward, "just a little, just enough. I am going to miss my connecting transport if we do not wrap this up soon, and I really do not want to spend the night in this station. No offense." Henark slammed his fist on the table. It was a good slam, forceful. The metal rang. The sound echoed off the walls. It was the kind of slam that made people jump, that made people flinch, that reminded people who was in charge. Penny did not flinch. She did not jump. She did not blink. She did not lean back. She just looked at him. Calm, patient, like she was waiting for him to finish so she could continue her sentence. The room went very quiet. "I have interrogated war criminals," Henark told me later. "I have faced down assassins. I have been in combat situations where my life was measured in seconds. I know fear. I know how people react to it." She did not react. At all. It was like threatening a rock with eyes that track movement. "That," he said, "was when I knew we were dealing with something different." He requested a full biological threat assessment, pulled in Dr. Mira Quelson from the station's xenobiology department. Quelson is Palaxian, which means she has spent her entire career studying alien species. She has seen things that would make most people lose their appetite for a week. She is professional, unflappable. She walked into holding room 3 expecting a monster. She found Penny Kowalski standing up, arms stretched above her head, twisting side to side. "Sorry," Penny said. "That chair is murder on my lower back. I have been sitting too long. You know how it is." Quelson looked at her. Quelson looked at Henark. Quelson looked at me. "This is the Category 12? She asked. Penny waved. "Hi, Penny Kowalski, botanist. Apparently a biohazard. It has been a whole day. The medical bay on Orvex 7 is state-of-the-art. Top-of-the-line diagnostic equipment, sterile environment, climate-controlled. It has handled everything from Vraxian battle wounds to Palaxian molting complications to that one time a Glimerian diplomat accidentally ingested dairy and nearly liquefied. Dr. Quelson has seen things in that room that would haunt a lesser physician. She was not prepared for Penny Kowalski. The examination started normally enough. Penny sat on the diagnostic bed without complaint. She answered questions politely. She made small talk about the station's architecture, which she said was very nice, very clean lines. Quelson ran the first scan. She stopped. She ran it again. She turned to her assistant, a young Brevian named Tosk, who was still in his residency and absolutely should not have been present for this. She told him to leave. He did not argue. I stayed. I know I should not have, but I stayed. Quelson pulled up the results on her display. Her hands were steady, but her voice was not. Let us start, she said, with your immune system. Penny nodded. Sure, what about it? Quelson took a breath. It is, she said slowly, actively hostile. She explained, in most species the immune system is defensive. It responds to threats. It neutralizes them. It protects the body. In humans, the immune system does not wait. It hunts. It searches for foreign organisms. It identifies them. It destroys them. Aggressively, thoroughly, without mercy. Penny shrugged. Yeah, she said. That is kind of the point. Otherwise you get sick. Quelson stared at her. She moved on. Your body temperature, she said. You are running at 37 degrees standard. Penny nodded. That sounds about right. Maybe a little low, actually. I have been feeling kind of cold. That temperature, Quelson said carefully, would indicate severe fever in 80% of known species. Fatal fever. Your baseline is our critical emergency threshold. Penny tilted her head. Huh, she said. I did not know that. She did not seem concerned. Quelson continued. She had to. It was her job. Your oral cavity, she said. The bacteria present in your mouth. If you were to bite another species. She trailed off. Penny waited. It would be toxic, Quelson finished.
Potentially lethal.
Your saliva contains microorganisms that would cause severe infection in most galactic species. Penny touched her mouth. Really, she said. I brush twice a day. Quelson made a small sound. It might have been a laugh. It might have been a sob. It was hard to tell. She pulled up the musculature scan. Your muscles, she said. The force generation capacity. I have run this 3 times because I assumed it was an error. What is wrong with them? Penny asked. Nothing is wrong with them. They are. Quelson paused. She was looking for the right word. They are terrifying. Based on these readings, you could generate enough sustained force to crush standard hull plating with your bare hands. Penny looked at her hands. I do yoga, she said. Maybe that helps. It does not help, Quelson said. It does not explain anything. Nothing about your biology should work the way it does. She was starting to lose her composure. I could see it, the cracks forming. And then she got to the sweating. Your body, Quelson said, and her voice was strained now, produces liquid from pores in your skin, as a cooling mechanism. Penny nodded. Yeah, sweating. It is pretty normal for us, especially when it is hot or when you exercise. Quelson set down her datapad. She put her hands on the edge of the counter. She took a very long breath. You excrete fluid, she said, from your skin, constantly, to regulate temperature. I mean not constantly, just when. Quelson held up a hand. I need a moment, she said. She left the room. I stood there. Penny sat there. We looked at each other. Is she okay? Penny asked. I did not know how to answer that. Quelson came back after a few minutes. She had collected herself, mostly. She reviewed the rest of the data. Penny's bone density, her healing factor, her endurance capacity. Each new revelation landed like a small bomb, and Penny received each one with the same mild interest you might show someone describing the weather. And then Penny mentioned the arm. Oh, she said, completely casual. Speaking of bones, I broke my arm once when I was a kid, fell out of a tree. It healed up pretty fast though, like 6 weeks. Quelson went very still. 6 weeks, she repeated. Yeah, Penny flexed her arm. Good as new. I mean, it itched like crazy under the cast, but you know. Quelson sat down. Not because she wanted to, because her legs stopped working. You regenerated bone tissue, she said. Fully functional bone tissue. In 6 weeks. I mean, kids heal fast. It probably would have taken longer if I was older. Quelson looked at me. Her expression said, "Are you hearing this?" My expression said, "I have been hearing it all day and I still do not know how to process it." Penny hopped off the diagnostic bed. "So," she said brightly, "can I get a copy of these records? My doctor back home will probably want to see them. She loves this kind of stuff. Very thorough." She was smiling, friendly, completely unbothered by the fact that she had just been described as a toxic, self-repairing, fever-temperature apex predator with a hostile immune system and the ability to crush metal with her hands. Dr. Quelson said nothing. I said nothing. Penny looked between us. "Is that a no?" she asked. They let her go. I know, I could not believe it either. But what were they going to do? She had not actually done anything wrong. She had documentation. She had a conference badge. She had a return ticket. Holding a woman because her biology was terrifying was not technically legal, even if it probably should be. Commander Hennerk assigned 2 guards to follow her at a distance, discreetly, for observation purposes. They lost her in the food court. To be fair, they did not lose her because she evaded them. They lost her because they refused to enter the same room as her. I cannot blame them. Word travels fast on a station like Orvex 7. By the time Penny reached the cafeteria, everyone knew. The Deathworld human. Category 12. Apex predator. Toxic bite. Self-repairing skeleton. The rumors had already grown legs and run laps around the promenade. The food court on Orvex 7 is usually packed. Hundreds of beings from dozens of species all crammed together, eating and drinking and arguing about cargo prices. It is loud. It is crowded. It smells like 100 different cuisines competing for dominance. When Penny walked in, it emptied. Not all at once. That would have been too obvious. But fast. Beings suddenly remembered appointments. Meals were abandoned half-eaten. Conversations ended mid-sentence. Within 2 minutes, the entire court had cleared except for a few vendors who were trapped behind their stalls and could not escape without walking past her. Penny did not seem to notice. She walked up to a food stall. Grillix, I think. They serve those fried kelp wraps that are popular with the Brevian traders. The vendor, old Grillick himself, stared at her like she had just materialized out of thin air. His eye stalks were fully retracted, which is the Marillion equivalent of a full-body cringe. "Hi," Penny said. She was still smiling, still friendly. "What is good here?" Grillick could not speak. She studied the menu display, nodded to herself. "I will try the wrap," she said. "And do you have anything like coffee? Hot, caffeinated, bitter? It has been a really long day." Grillick made the wrap. His hands were shaking so badly he dropped it twice. He pushed it across the counter toward her. He did not charge her. Penny looked at the wrap, looked at him, looked at the payment terminal. "How much?" she asked. Grillick shook his head frantically, eye stalks still retracted, throat membranes fluttering. No, he managed. "Free, please, free." Penny frowned. "I cannot just take it for free," she said. "That is not fair. You made it. Here, let me just—" She reached for her credit chip. Grillick flinched so hard he knocked over a stack of containers. Penny stopped. She looked at the mess. She looked at Grillick. Something in her expression shifted. Concern, maybe, or confusion. "Are you okay?" she asked. Grillick nodded, vigorously, desperately. "Fine," he said. "Very fine. Please enjoy, please." Penny hesitated. Then she placed the credit chip on the counter anyway. "Keep the change," she said softly. She took her wrap and walked to an empty table, which was all of them. Every table was empty. She sat down alone in a cafeteria built for 300 beings and started eating. I watched from the doorway. I could not look away. She ate like a normal person. Small bites. Chewing thoroughly. She seemed to enjoy it. At one point she nodded to herself, like she was pleasantly surprised by the flavor. Just a woman eating lunch. A woman who could crush hull plating with her hands. And then the Thovians arrived. There were 4 of them. Young. Traders, probably based on their clothes. They had clearly been drinking. Thovian ale is strong, and these 4 had been at it for a while. They did not know. They had not heard. They had been in whatever bar had served them all morning and missed the entire panic. Their leader was a broad one named Brix Paolox. I learned his name later from the incident report. He was loud, confident, the kind of young male who has never faced a real threat and therefore believes himself invincible. He saw Penny sitting alone. He saw a small creature with no claws, no armor, no visible weapons. He laughed. He said something to his friends. They laughed too. Brix walked over to her table with that swaggering gait that young males use when they want to look impressive.
"Hey," he said. His Thovian accent was thick.
Slurred. "You are the scary predator everyone is talking about." Penny looked up at him. She did not say anything. Brix grinned. His teeth were flat. Herbivore teeth. Thovians are grazers by evolutionary history. Herd species. They find safety in numbers and bluster. "You do not look so scary to me," he said. He turned to his friends. "Does she look scary to you?" They laughed again. The Brix turned back. He reached out. He put his hand on Penny's shoulder. And Penny looked at him. She did not attack. She did not yell. She did not even stand up. She just looked. Those eyes, forward-facing, focused, locked onto him like targeting systems, the gaze of a pursuit predator evaluating prey. "Please remove your hand," she said. Her voice was calm, polite even, but there was something underneath it, something old, something that remembered hunting across open plains until the prey collapsed from exhaustion. Brix did not remove his hand. He could not. He was frozen, completely rigid. His eyes were wide, his mouth was open, his entire body had locked up like someone had hit a switch. Thovians are herd animals. Prey species. They have instincts buried deep in their biology, instincts that predate language, that predate civilization, that go all the way back to when their ancestors were hunted by things with forward-facing eyes. Those instincts were screaming at Brix Paolax. "Do not move. Do not run. If you run, it will chase you. If it chases you, you will die." He stood there, hand on her shoulder, staring into the eyes of an apex predator. His bladder released. The sound of liquid hitting the floor was very loud in the silent cafeteria. Penny blinked. She looked down. She looked back up at Brix. Her expression changed, softened. She looked genuinely sorry. "Oh no," she said. "Oh, I am so sorry. I did not mean to startle you. Are you okay?" Brix could not answer. He was still frozen. Penny stood up slowly. She was careful about it. Gentle. She removed his hand from her shoulder like she was handling something fragile.
"Here,"
she said. "Why do not you sit down? Can I get you some water? Or, I do not know, a towel?" She looked at his friends. "Is he okay?" she asked. "Does this happen to him a lot?" They ran. All 3 of them. They just turned and bolted. Left Brix standing there in a puddle of his own terror. Penny watched them go. She turned back to Brix. "Do you want me to buy you a drink?" she asked. "I feel really bad about this. Honestly, I did not mean to scare you." Brix made a sound, a small broken sound. Penny guided him to a chair. She sat him down. She flagged down one of the vendors who approached like he was walking toward an open flame. "Can we get some water over here?" Penny asked. "And maybe some napkins?" The vendor brought them. He did not charge her. Penny thanked him. She sat with Brix until he could move again. She talked to him gently, asked about his work, his ship, where he was from, normal questions, friendly questions. Brix answered in single syllables. His eyes never left her face. When he could finally stand, Penny offered to pay for his cleaning bill. He declined. He walked away very quickly. Penny sat back down at her table. She looked at her half-eaten wrap. She sighed. The entire cafeteria watched her in silence. She picked up the wrap and took another bite. Just a woman eating lunch. I was still in the food court when the alarms started. Not the bioscanner alarms. Those had finally stopped, thank the stars. These were different, deeper, the kind of alarm that vibrates in your chest and tells you something has gone very, very wrong. Emergency lighting activated, red panels flashing along the corridors. The station's voice system kicked in, calm and automated, which somehow made it worse. Attention all personnel. Security breach in progress. Docking Bay 7. All civilians proceed to designated shelter zones. This is not a drill. The food court erupted. Beings running in every direction. Vendors abandoning their stalls. Panic spreading like a fire through dry grass. I pushed through the crowd toward the security office. My legs were moving before my brain caught up. Whatever was happening, Hinark would be at the center of it. Penny was already there. I do not know how she got there before me. I do not know how she even knew where it was, but when I arrived she was standing in the doorway watching the chaos inside with that same calm expression she had worn all day. Amadak was at the main console. His face was grim. His officers were scrambling around him, pulling up sensor data, checking weapons, shouting updates. I pushed in beside Penny. "What is happening?" I asked. She nodded toward the main display. "Pirates," she said. Her voice was flat, matter of fact, like she was commenting on the weather. I looked at the screen. The ship was big, bigger than anything that should have been able to approach the station without early warning. It had latched onto Docking Bay 7 like a parasite, cutting through the hull with plasma torches. The identification came up on screen. The Crimson Wake. My stomach dropped. Vraxian raiders. The worst of the worst. They did not just steal cargo. They took hostages. They killed for sport. They had hit 12 stations in the past cycle alone, and nobody had been able to stop them. Thenark was on the comm trying to raise the galactic patrol. The nearest ship was 4 hours out. Too far. Way too far. "How many?" he demanded. One of his officers answered. Her voice was shaking. "Sensors show at least 30 hostiles, sir. Armed. Already inside the station. 30 Vraxians. Against a security team of maybe 15. Half of whom had never seen real combat." Henark's jaw tightened. "Civilian count," he said. 312, the officer replied. "Including the crew." Henark closed his eyes. Just for a moment, when he opened them, I saw something I had never seen in him before. Doubt. He did not think he could win this. Penny stepped forward. "So," she said, "is anyone going to do something about this?" Henark turned to look at her. We all did. The entire room. She was standing there, arms crossed, head tilted slightly. She looked like someone who had just been told her flight was delayed and wanted to speak with a manager. "We are outmatched," Henark said. His voice was heavy.
Honest.
"Vergaxians are Category 6. They are faster than us, stronger than us, and they have better weapons. If we engage directly, we lose." Penny considered this. She nodded slowly. "Okay," she said. "Which airlock are they using?" Henark stared at her. Everyone stared at her. "Excuse me," Henark said. "The airlock," Penny repeated. "Where did they breach?" "Docking Bay 7, right? Which airlock specifically?" "You cannot be serious," Henark said. Penny raised an eyebrow. "You just said you are outmatched," she said. "You have 300 civilians on this station. You have pirates cutting through your hull, and your backup is 4 hours away. So yes, I am serious. Which airlock?" Henark stepped toward her. He towered over her. 8 feet of Scrivian muscle and combat experience. "Those are Vraxians," he said. "Savage killers. The most brutal species in the sector. They will tear you apart." Penny looked up at him. Her expression shifted, just slightly. A small tightening around the eyes. A coolness that had not been there before. "Savage killers," she repeated. It was not a question. There was something in her voice, something that made Henark take a step back without realizing it, something that reminded everyone in the room what her scanner classification had been. "I need a communication device," she said. "And a map of the station." Nobody moved. Penny waited. Henark made a decision. I saw it happen. The doubt in his eyes shifted into something else. Calculation. Desperation. Hope. He reached for his belt, pulled off his personal comm unit, held it out to her. "Bay 7, he said. "Airlock 14. They are moving toward the cargo holds, probably looking for the high-value shipments." Penny took the comm. "How do I get there from here?" Henark turned to one of his officers. "Give her the map," he said. The officer transferred the station layout to the comb. His hands were shaking. Penny studied it for a moment, nodded to herself. Cargo holds are here, she said, pointing. That means they will come through these corridors. Lots of choke points. That is good. Good for what? Henark asked. Penny looked at him. She almost smiled. Almost. I will let you know, she said. She turned and walked out of the security office. We watched her go. Henark's second-in-command, a Brevian named Tolak, spoke first. Sir, he said, are we really going to let her? Yes, Henark said. But sir, Henark turned to face his team. Get me eyes on every corridor between here and Bay 7, he said. I want to see everything. He looked back at the doorway where Penny had disappeared. All of it, he said quietly. We watched her on the security feeds. Henark had commandeered the main display in the command center. Every screen showed a different corridor, a different angle, tracking her progress through the station. Dr. Quelson stood beside me. Her medical datapad clutched to her chest like a shield. Zika had finally left the customs desk and joined us, though he stayed near the door, ready to run. Penny moved through the corridors alone. She did not run. That was the thing that got me. That was the thing that made my scales itch and my secondary heart beat too fast. She did not run. She walked. Steady, unhurried, the same pace she had used walking through customs, walking through the food court, walking through every moment of this nightmare day. The pace of something that did not need to rush. The pace of something that knew with absolute certainty that it would catch whatever it was chasing. I have seen pursuit predators before, on nature documentaries, on wildlife preserves. They move differently than other species. There is an economy to it, a patience. They do not waste energy on bursts of speed. They do not need to. They just keep coming. Penny walked, like that, through the red emergency lighting, past the abandoned vendor stalls, toward docking bay 7. On another screen we could see the pirates. They had split into two groups. Half were at the cargo holds, cutting through security doors, loading valuables onto transport sleds. The other half were in the main bay, standing guard, watching the corridors. 15 of them. Vraxians are big, scaled, built like tanks wrapped in leather armor. They carried plasma rifles and vibroblades and the kind of confidence that comes from being the most dangerous thing in every room they enter. Their leader stood at the center, Captain Dren Volker. I recognized him from the bounty notices. Tall even for a Vraxian, scarred face, dead eyes. He was watching the corridor feeds too. He saw Penny coming. He laughed. Even through the security audio, I could hear it. A deep, rumbling sound. Amused. Contemptuous. He said something to his crew. They laughed too. One of them made a gesture I did not recognize, but the meaning was clear enough. This is what they are sending. Penny reached the cargo bay doors. She stopped. On the screen we watched her take a breath, roll her shoulders, crack her neck to one side, then the other. She pushed open the door and walked in. 15 Vraxian pirates turned to face her. Penny stopped about 10 meters from the nearest one. She stood there, small and soft and unarmed, looking at them the way you might look at a math problem you were about to solve. Captain Volkar stepped forward. His plasma rifle was slung across his back. He did not bother to draw it. He grinned, rows of sharp teeth. "This is cute," he said. "Did they send you to negotiate?" Penny tilted her head. "In a way," she said. Her voice was different, flatter, colder. The warmth she had shown all day was gone. "Here is the negotiation," she said. "You leave now, take your ship, go away. Do not come back." Volkar laughed again. "Or what?" Penny smiled. It was not a friendly smile. It was not the smile she had given me at customs, or Grillick at the food stall, or even poor frozen bricks with his wet trousers. It was something else. Something old. "Or I stop asking nicely," she said. Volkar stopped laughing. He looked at her, really looked. Something flickered in his dead eyes. Not fear, not yet, but uncertainty. It lasted half a second. Then he raised his plasma rifle. Penny did not blink. She moved. What happened next lasted 47 seconds. I know because the security system timestamps everything. 47 seconds from start to finish. It did not feel like 47 seconds. It felt like forever. It felt like no time at all. Penny was fast. Not just fast. She was, I do not have the words. She was there, and then she was somewhere else. She did not move, like the Vraxians moved. All power and momentum. She moved, like water, like smoke. She flowed. The first pirate fired, missed. Tote. Penny was already inside his reach, already past the barrel of his rifle. She hit him somewhere in the throat. He dropped. The second one swung a vibroblade. Big swing, lots of force, the kind of swing that would cut a Kelvorian in half. Penny ducked it. She did not just dodge. She ducked under it and came up inside his guard and did something to his knee that made the joint bend the wrong way. He screamed. He fell. She kept moving. Everything was a weapon. The environment. The pirates themselves. She threw one into another. She used a cargo crate as cover and then as a projectile. She grabbed a fallen vibroblade and used the handle, not the blade, to break bones. She did not kill anyone. I want to be clear about that. She did not kill anyone. But the sounds they made, the screams, the wet crunches, the heavy thuds of bodies hitting the floor, every single one of them would need extensive medical care. Volker tried to run. He made it 3 steps. Penny caught him from behind. She did something to his arm that made him drop his weapon, and then she did something to his legs that put him on the ground, and then she was standing over him with 1 foot on his chest. She was not even breathing hard. 47 seconds. 15 Vraxian raiders. 47 seconds. The cargo bay was silent, except for groaning. Penny reached down and picked up Volkar's communication device. She wiped some blood off the screen. Not her blood. She activated it. "Hello," she said. Her voice was pleasant again. Warm, friendly. "This is Penny Kowalski. I am down here in your cargo bay with your captain. He is having a bit of a rough day." She looked down at Volkarar. He stared up at her with something I had never seen on a Vraxian face before. Terror. "Here is what is going to happen," Penny continued. "You are going to detach your ship from this station. You are going to leave. You are going to take these gentlemen with you when we send them back through the airlock, and you are never going to come back here again." She paused. "If you do not do these things," she said, "I am going to come up there." She let that hang in the air. "Do we understand each other?" Silence on the other end. Then a voice, shaking. Yes, we understand." "Great," Penny said. "You have 2 minutes, starting now." She dropped the comm on Volkar's chest. She turned and walked toward the door. She stopped, turned back. "Oh," she said, "one more thing." She pointed at Volkara. "Tell your friends," she said, "Orvex 7 is off limits." The Crimson Wake detached in 90 seconds. Penny walked back into the command center like she was returning from a coffee break. She was covered in blood. Blue blood, green blood, that yellowish ichor that Vraxians have instead of proper circulatory fluid. It was on her hands, her arms, her clothes, even a streak across her cheek. None of it was hers. She looked around the room, at Henark, at Quelson, at Zika, who had pressed himself so far against the wall he was practically part of the architecture, at me. She smiled. "So," she said, "is there somewhere I can clean up? I still have a transport to catch." Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. Penny waited, patient, polite, like she had not just dismantled 15 Vraxian raiders in under a minute. Henark found his voice first. "Down the hall," he said. "3rd door on the left." "Thanks," Penny said. She turned to go. "Wait," Henark said. She stopped. He stepped toward her, slowly, carefully, like approaching something that might bite. "That was," he said. He paused, searching for words. "I have never seen anything like that." Penny shrugged. "They were not that tough," she said. "Honestly, I think they were used to people being afraid of them. Once you take that away, they are just big and slow. Just big and slow. Category 6 Deathworld predators. Just big and slow." Henark reached into his coat. He pulled out a card. Official station security, his personal contact information. "I want to offer you a job," he said. Station security. Triple the standard rate. Full benefits. Private quarters. Penny looked at the card. She looked at Henark. She smiled. A real smile this time. Warm. Genuine. That is really kind of you, she said. But I am going to have to decline. Hold. Henark blinked. You could name your price, he said. Anything you want. Penny shook her head. It is not about the money, she said. I appreciate the offer. Really. But I am a botanist. That is what I do. That is what I love. Plants are. I do not know. They are honest. You give them what they need and they grow. No politics. No drama. Just growth. She shrugged again. Besides, she said, I have a keynote to deliver. People are counting on me. She took the card anyway, slipped it into her pocket. In case I change my mind, she said, but I probably will not. Dr. Quelson stepped forward. Her datapad was still clutched to her chest. Miss Kowalski, she said. Her voice was steadier than I expected. The data I collected today, your biological profile, it is unprecedented. Would you have any objection to me publishing a paper? Penny considered this. Sure, she said. Go ahead. It might help other humans who come through here, save them some trouble at customs. She glanced at me when she said that, a small quirk at the corner of her mouth. Just, maybe add a section at the end, she said, about how we also cry at sad movies, and adopt stray animals, and sometimes stay up too late reading because we cannot put a book down, you know, the other stuff. She headed for the door. Oh, she said, turning back, one more thing. We all tensed. Penny pointed at Grillick's food stall on the map display. That kelp wrap was really good, she said. You should tell him. He seemed nervous, and I did not get to say it properly. She left. I watched her go. Then I went back to my customs desk. I pulled up her file. Penny Kowalski.
Karen, botanist.
I added a note. A warning. The kind of flag that follows someone through every checkpoint, every port, every station in the galaxy. Category 12, Deathworld origin. Apex predator biology. Extreme caution advised. Do not engage. Do not provoke. Do not underestimate. I thought about it for a moment. I added one more line. Also very polite. Recommend reciprocating. I filed the report. 2 hours later I watched Penny board her connecting transport to Nexus Prime. She had cleaned up. Changed clothes. She looked like any other traveler. Small, unassuming. Harmless. The other passengers gave her a wide berth. Word had spread. Of course it had. Penny did not seem to notice, or if she did not care. She found her seat. She settled in. She pulled a book out of her bag, something about native flora of Nexus Prime. She opened it and began to read. Completely at peace. I stood at the observation window and watched the transport pull away from the dock, watched it grow smaller and smaller until it was just another point of light among the stars. I thought about the day. I thought about the scanner alarms, the medical examination, the cafeteria, poor Brick's Paolox and his wet trousers, the Vraxians and their 47 seconds of learning what it meant to be prey. I thought about Penny Kowalski. She was not aggressive. That was the thing. She had not come to Orvex 7, looking for a fight. She had come to catch a connecting flight, to get a cup of coffee, to attend a conference about dirt. She had been polite, friendly, patient with our fear and confusion. And when 15 Vraxian raiders had threatened her station, she had put them down like it was a minor inconvenience, an interruption to her day, a brief delay before she could get back to her book. Humans are not dangerous because they are aggressive, I realized. They are dangerous because they do not even know what they are. They walk through the galaxy with mass extinction biology, deathworld reflexes, and predator instincts buried so deep they do not even feel them anymore. They smile at you and make small talk and ask about the food court, and the whole time they are carrying enough evolutionary weaponry to topple civilizations. And they have no idea. They think they are normal. That is what makes them terrifying. I filed a formal recommendation that afternoon. All human visitors to Orvex 7 should receive Category 12 diplomatic handling. Full courtesies, no delays, no provocations. Treat them like the apex predators they are, even if they just want directions to the coffee shop. I also made a note to myself. If I ever see a human again, I will be very, very polite. And I will not under any circumstances touch their shoulder,